Hi, I'm Belinda. Welcome to my studio. Today I want to share the third experiment that I've done using drafting film. If you look on my channel, there'll be two previous videos on this same topic. Drafting film looks like tracing paper, but it's plastic. It's very sturdy. So instead of using it for drawing, which is what it's traditionally used for, I've used a scribe or an etching needle to incise line work in the surface. My source material was a loose sketch in a sketchbook, and I just traced the sketch using a sharp tool to create line work, and then inked the plate and printed it against a sheet of paper on my press to create a repeatable image. Once the repeatable drawing is done, each one can be colored using different media, and it's a blast. So let's have a look at what I did. So for the sake of flexibility, I'm going to use a very loose pen and ink drawing from a sketchbook. You can use a sketch or a photograph, a drawing that you've done previously, or a painting. I'm going to use Dura-Lar. This is 0.005 matte finish drafting film, which is basically a polyester sheet. It's a plastic sheet that's somewhat sheer. So it's like tracing paper, only much sturdier. I'm going to place it over the sketchbook drawing and tape it down to secure it so that I can use a pencil to get some basic outlines, and then I can start using an incising tool to engrave line work in the sheet of drafting film. This is a scribe or an etching needle. I'm using one that is cork handled for extra comfort in the hand. They come in a variety of styles, and I'll include links to those in the Show More section underneath the video window. The groove incised by the etching needle is not very visible, so you can feel your work as you move across the sheet to see if you've missed anything. With a scrap piece of Matboard, I'm pushing ink into the surface of the Mylar so that it goes into the lines I just inscribed with the etching needle. This is oil-based etching ink that I'll clean with vegetable oil. The last video I posted in my channel goes over using vegetable oil to clean up oil-based inks in the studio. Now I'm using tarlatan, which is starched cheesecloth, to wipe the excess ink off the plate, and I'm holding it down with a piece of newsprint or old phone book pages, which is the same material. And what I've got left is ink in the line work. Now the Mylar sheet is being pressed against a sheet of soaked and blotted printmaking paper with Matboard underneath it to give it some lift. So now I have a loose gestural line drawing in the form of a Drypoint, and I can print an edition of 3 or 5 or 15 to take into the studio and practice the application of pigment. Any medium that you use on paper will work on a Drypoint print. Sometimes it's difficult to get good at drawing and good at painting because you're doing one on top of the other. If a drawing you worked on for 3 hours comes out great, then you get super tight on the painting because you don't want to mess up your drawing. But if your drawing is a Drypoint and you're printing an edition, you can go to town with your pigments and practice your painting skills over and over and over again, giving yourself permission to screw them up as often as you need to, because you can just print more and practice painting again. It's much easier to be loose, expressive, and experimental on a drawing that you can repeat over and over again by printing it as a Drypoint. In this instance, I'm using transparent watercolor, and you'll see here that when the watercolor is wet, it's very, very dark, and as it dries, it gets much, much lighter, which encourages extra layers added one on top of the other, which is called glazing. After the watercolor was dry, I added some colored pencil, and you can still see the line work of the Drypoint underneath the paint and the colored pencil. So this is just one approach of many to add pigment to one of these Drypoints. The experts say that 10,000 hours of deliberate practice is necessary to achieve expert level of performance in any given domain. So let's say you've got a great drawing that you'd like to add color to, but you love the way the drawing came out and you're not sure about your abilities in the application of pigments. Use your drawing to create a Drypoint edition on Dura-Lar. You can even trace it through the sheerness of the Dura-Lar and pull an edition large enough to give you the freedom to experiment and do whatever you'd like to do playing with color in the studio. At the very least, when you're finished, you'll have a lovely set of dry points to give away as gifts. That's a dry point from drafting film in a line style for mixed media treatment. If you found this helpful at all, please leave me a thumbs up so I have some feedback. If you have any questions, you can leave those in the comments and I'll get right back to you. And if you're curious about the supplies, I put a list with resource links underneath the video window. If you're on a desktop, that'll be in the Show More section, which is just underneath the video window, directly in the center. If you're on a mobile device, it'll be a little gray arrow at the end of the title of this video. And you click the gray arrow and it'll open up the Show More section. So that's it. I hope you're making something and staying creative this week, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by.